Welcome to This Explainer. You know that little metal coffee maker sitting way in the back of your cupboard? Well, today we are going to completely demystify it and honestly transform your morning routine. If you love coffee, you are absolutely in the right place.
Okay, let's be real for a second and dive right into this. You've probably used one of these, absolutely hated the bitter, burnt taste it made, and simply never used it again. Maybe it's sitting right now in your pantry just gathering dust. But today, we are solving that exact problem. We're going to turn that little metal pot into your favorite brewing tool.
Here is our game plan for today. We'll look at its brilliant Italian invention, how the Moka Pot actually works, getting the coffee ratios right, nailing the water temperature, and finally, proper cleaning techniques.
Let's kick things off with part 1, a brilliant Italian invention. It's kind of impossible to really understand this device without knowing its roots. Way back in 1933, Alfonso Bialetti invents the Moka Express, and amazingly, the prototype looked almost exactly like the one you'd buy today. Then, in the 1950s, his son Renato blows it up globally with that clever little mustache man marketing logo. And the family's connection to this device, it is so profound that when Renato passed away in 2016, they literally put his ashes in a giant Moka Pot-shaped urn. Now that is some true dedication to your craft.
But here's what's really wild. The core technology is just simple, accessible physics that was actually inspired by doing laundry. Alfonso was watching his washing machine, which, back in the 1930s, used steam to push hot water up through dirty clothes. And he thought, wait, if steam can push water through fabric, why couldn't I just replace the clothes with coffee grounds?
Which brings us nicely to part 2, how the Moka Pot works.
So how exactly does this tabletop washing machine actually brew coffee? It's basically a simple 3-step physics experiment. First, the water heats up in the totally sealed bottom chamber. Because the steam has absolutely nowhere to go, it builds up pressure, about 1 bar of pressure to be exact. Finally, that trapped steam forces the hot water straight upwards, pushing it right through the coffee filter and into the top chamber. It's actually brewing the coffee as it travels.
Now, you've probably noticed that little valve on the side of the bottom chamber. That's your safety valve, and it's a crucial release mechanism. Basically, if you pack the coffee too tightly and accidentally block the water from going up, this valve lets the extra air out at 1.5 bars so it doesn't build up too much steam and, well, explode. Always make sure your water level stays below this valve.
Moving right along to part 3, getting coffee ratios right.
This is where most people make their very first mistake. You've got to use freshly roasted beans, but grind them slightly coarse. Think similar to regular drip coffee. Please, do not use a super powdery, fine espresso grind. Even though it's an Italian coffee maker, if your grounds feel like powdered sugar, the water just won't be able to pass through. Fill the little basket completely to the top. Level it off gently, and here is the absolute golden rule. Never, ever tamp or press the coffee down. Resist the urge. If you pack it down, you're going to trap the water and completely burn your brew.
All right, part 4, water temperature and brewing.
Okay, pay close attention, because this right here is the ultimate game changer for eliminating that awful bitterness. If you've been putting cold tap water into the bottom chamber, you have literally been cooking your coffee grounds before the brewing even starts. While that cold water sits on the stove slowly heating up, the metal gets scorching hot and basically bakes the dry coffee sitting above it. By using hot water from a kettle right from the start, the coffee is exposed to high temps for just a fraction of the time, brewing it almost instantly and keeping the taste incredibly smooth. So carefully pour your hot boiling water straight into the bottom chamber, stopping just below that little safety valve we talked about. Drop your coffee basket in. Now, since that base is full of boiling water, grab a kitchen towel to hold the bottom while you screw the top chamber on nice and tight. Next, put the pot on a low or medium heat. Patience is key here, folks. You might think blasting it on high heat will save time, but it just forces the water through the coffee way too fast. A slow, steady flow is what extracts all those beautiful, rich aromas without burning a thing. You want the coffee to just sort of gracefully ooze out. And the best part? You don't even need to guess when it's done. Just look for that slow flow and listen closely for a very specific bubbling, gurgling noise. Once it sounds like it's spitting slightly, that's your auditory cue. It means there is 0 water left in the bottom chamber. The absolute second you hear that gurgling sound, the brewing is over. To ensure the coffee doesn't turn bitter at the very last second from the residual steam, you've got to stop the brewing process instantly. Take it off the heat immediately, bring it over to the sink, and run just the bottom chamber under cold tap water. This kills the steam instantly and stops the extraction dead in its tracks. Oh, and here is a fantastic pro tip straight from Italy. give the coffee a quick stir in the top chamber before you pour it. The coffee that comes out first is heavily concentrated, while the stuff at the end is a bit weaker. By stirring it, you blend the flavors perfectly, giving you a cup that sits right in that sweet spot, like a halfway house between an intense espresso and a smooth drip coffee.
Finally, let's wrap up with part 5, proper cleaning techniques.
Look, a dirty pot will absolutely ruin even the most perfectly brewed coffee. So we need to bust a massive myth right now. Forget that old wives' tale that leaving a coffee maker unwashed somehow seasons it and adds flavor. Totally false. Stale, rancid oils left in the pot are just going to add a disgusting bitterness to your brand new batch of coffee. You want it clean.
However, and this is super critical, because the traditional pot is made of porous aluminum, you must never, ever use soap. If you use dish soap, the metal will actually absorb the detergent, and your next cup of coffee is going to taste like literal suds.
So, how do you clean it? Just use warm water to rinse all the pieces. Grab a butter knife occasionally to pop out the rubber seal and the metal filter underneath it, because those coffee oils definitely build up in there too. By the way, a great little hack for getting the used wet coffee out of the basket is to simply blow into the little tube at the bottom. It pops the coffee right out perfectly. After rinsing, make sure every single piece is completely bone dry to prevent bacteria or musty smells. Finally, when you put it away, don't screw it shut too tightly. Leave it loose so that rubber seal doesn't get compressed and age out prematurely. And there you have it. By understanding the simple, brilliant physics of this invention, using hot water to prevent burning, getting your grind size right, and keeping the whole system perfectly clean, you have absolutely everything you need to brew an incredible, smooth cup. No more bitterness. So, the only question left is, what type of coffee beans are you going to try first in your newly mastered Moka Pot? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Now go dust off that pot and enjoy your coffee.